sealed it, then we could leave that situation, that we would be in compliance with whatever was happening with regard to asbestos. So if you guys are disturbing the asbestos first, are the tenants going to be held for what you disturb?
If we disturb something, we will use proper methodology to remove it. We will not, how to put it, we're not going to leave a hazard for you in your space. Now, with regards to if for some reason there is something left in your space, which after talking with Dwayne Brown and some other people, it sounds like there's going to really be hardly anything there except concrete, steel, and maybe some exterior facade. But if, for instance, there's some fireproofing that's still left in place, if you disturb it, you'll have to abate it. If you do not disturb it, you won't have to abate it. Abatement is only necessary if you plan on disturbing it. But you still have to have a survey once again.
That's interesting. I understand through an architect that has worked at Terminal A, a survey of the entire building has already been completed at one time and maybe in existence.
Back in '87, the airport initially conducted a comprehensive survey of Terminal A. Our findings have found that based on standards at that time, it was acceptable, but based on current standards and new, how to put it, information that's come to light in the asbestos industry, there's a lot more materials that were not accounted for in the initial survey. Currently, our Environmental Affairs Department is conducting a comprehensive survey of Terminal A to identify all those hazards, and this will be applied to our TRIP team so that they can, conduct their work activities in a safe manner.
You may have already answered this, but do we call your office to have someone come out to survey the asbestos, or do we hire someone to survey the asbestos in our space if required?
What the airport will be willing to do is, upon request, we will provide whatever asbestos information data that we have on your lease space, and then you can take that to an asbestos consultant, and he can review it, and upon review, he may decide to say, well, based on these results, you may not, I don't see anything, and he'll call the area good, and he'll, your own consultant, yes. Or you're more than welcome to have him come out and just look the space over and have him write his certification letter or conduct a survey of the space. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you again for being here. My name's Todd Haynes. I'm the planning chief and also fire protection engineer for DFW Fire Department. What we're going to talk real briefly about is working together. We're all stakeholders in this business, and we have a great opportunity and a great relationship, the fire service does, and fire prevention specifically, with concessions. And so we want to build that. We don't want to be an enemy. We want to work together, and our whole goal is to be proactive. And we have an opportunity now, at least in my field, in fire protection and detection, to get rid of all that 35-year-old material and start new. It's an exciting time for us in the fire prevention to have that opportunity to start fresh and get the latest technology. And just to let you know, we are at the cutting edge on a lot of our fire detection and suppression activities. So we're very fortunate, thanks to the airport board, to kind of go above and beyond and try to fix stuff that we can look at least for the next 30 years due to lessons learned and injuries and deaths due to fires. So again, we're going to go through this real quickly, but my goal today is just to kind of show you what we expect in the fire prevention part and really understand we're all stakeholders. We're all here to work under the same goal. So some of the expectations, this was talked about before, but really the fire code. I mean, that's what we're going to look at. The International Fire Code were adopted in 2009, and so when you do hire a consultant, when you do hire an engineer or a builder, we're going to look at that. We're going to make sure you're up to the code. And another thing I don't like is saying we're a jurisdiction. We have DFW Airport, Texas. We have our own zip code. So we're not in Irving, we're not in Dallas, we're not in Fort Worth. We're DFW Airport. And so it's understood, and that's what we have adopted. So we adopted the brand new code just to be proactive. We're getting the latest and greatest material out there to try to be proactive in the fire safety. So in regards to fire protection, we have the adopted fire code, and we also have the design criteria manual, which is our specific requirements. We have local amendments that are specific just for airport fire protection, but also design criteria, which we go above and beyond sometimes, where we need to make sure that we provide the best for you, your employees, and also our customers. So what I see in plan submittals, probably for all the concessions, is you're going to get a shell. It's my understanding you're going to get a sprinkler and some concrete or steel or whatever else. But you need to put your own detection in there. You need to put fire alarm systems. You need to make it your space. And so we need to get those shop drawings. We need to come in. You're going to do a site plan, everything else, but we're going to have specifics. I'm going to ask for a fire alarm. Also, for some of you cooking establishments, as you all know, we have hood systems. We have requirements for alternative fire suppression in regards to grease and everything else. So again, we need to have those plans that are submitted. And any sprinkler modifications, you know, you're going to have upright sprinklers in this space supposedly. Well, now you're going to put ceiling tiles in and everything else, make it your own. So those are the three type of plans I'm going to expect above and beyond a basic site plan or whatever else you give to the airport. And all this goes through the DFW code as our central clearinghouse and then gets distributed to us. We do have 10 working days is what we try to get out. We've worked with some of you and hopefully we're successful in that, so we try to get it out sooner. But we do have 10 working days. And again, I put comments, the staff puts comments in regards to fire protection. That fire construction meeting is critical because I'm leaving it up to the general contractor. I'm making him responsible for what's going to happen. So my goal is to talk to my comments and making sure that they're addressed during your construction phase. Inspections, once you get the plan review, plan process, we look at that, hopefully 10 days, everything's looking good. Goes through the code department again, Naresh talked about that. But we look at a fire alarm acceptance test. So you modify the fire alarm system, and what's interesting, what we're doing and kind of the cutting edge technology, what we're doing for these terminals is we're doing a PA voice evac system, which is using the PA system in regards to our fire announcements. After 9/11, we noticed that we need to approach the all-hazard approach. You know, it's not just a horn or anymore or anything else. So we're going to be able to remotely go into these terminals and say what you need to do on an all-hazard approach, from fires to tornadoes to terrorist attacks. So we're going to have that ability to communicate to the customers and also to your employees on what the actions need to be. Sometimes it's not always good to exit a building if you have a car bomb in the front. So we need to be careful. We need to look at that. And we have new technology that is above and beyond any airport out there or any other facility. So we're spending a lot of money to be the number one in mass notification. What's important here, it's going to happen at nighttime, 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. So how you do your contracts, people, overtime, whatever. We're not going to do fire alarm testing in the middle of a terminal during, you know, business operations. So just to let you know in regards to that, sprinkler above ceiling, you move those heads from up to down to, you know, all your obstructions and racks and everything else. So we're going to come in there and see, make sure it looks right according to the plan you submitted. And also fire and life safety final. During that phase is our last part. And what I tell people, concessionaires, is saying the employees and your customers are waiting at the door until I finish. So the fire extinguishers need to be up, the clothes on the rack, everything needs to be in place. And too many times they say, we're going to do a fire and life safety final, but then all of a sudden I have contractors painting and everything else. The customers should be ready to come in, so I expect everything to be ready for business as soon as I leave. So that's your fire and life safety final. And those are the typical inspections for your concessions that you'll see. Also, some of you with some outside buildings or anything else understand the Knox box system. It's an access control for our firefighters to get into your spaces after hours. There was a lot of concern in regards to security of these keys. these keys are in a lockbox, and our personnel, it's only firefighters have the key, but the key can only be accessed by a special code. So we know every person that goes into that key to get the key to go into a concession.